So this is yet another Pixar movie, and I say that because it's the 5th one since I started the channel 3 years ago. And it's the 3rd one in just over a year, so they've definitely picked up the pace over there. However, I wouldn't say the quality has suffered too much, because I've liked them all so far. And the only one I haven't reviewed on the channel is Soul, that came out late last year while I was on a break. But I do actually have that review written, so if you wanna see it, let me know. Anyway, my point is, Pixar usually puts out decent movies and sometimes even great ones. And I had no reason to expect this one to be any different, although it honestly didn't look all that amazing to me at the first glance. I'm not sure why, but this one just didn't really get me all that excited when I first heard about it. And when I sat down to watch it, I wasn't blown away initially either. Because what we got here is a story about a boy named Luca, who is some sort of a fish person. He's a sort of shepherd who takes care of the family's farm of sheepfish. And of course he's a curious boy, and the lure of the human world is pulling him in. He finds it intriguing, but his parents are deathly afraid of humans, and so there you have sort of the central conflict of the movie. It's very simple, very basic, and well, nothing about this story is all that complicated. It really does take a rather simplistic approach to things, and instead of going with a high concept, like Inside Out or Soul, it keeps it rather grounded for an animated fantasy movie. I also felt like it didn't quite dig as deep as a lot of Pixar movies tend to do. A lot of them deal with some heavy subjects, but this one doesn't really to the same extent. The themes here are more about just friendship and accepting people for who they are. It's actually a rather quaint little movie, and for most of the runtime I would say I was enjoying it for what it was, but I definitely wouldn't say I was loving it. It was sorta cute and endearing and mildly amusing, but not much more than that. Although I will say I did find the cat to be absolutely hilarious for some reason. They just utilized it well, I guess, and didn't overdo it with too many scenes featuring it. But other than that, I didn't find this to be all that remarkable for most of it. However, then we got to the end where it started wrapping things up. And all the individual pieces started coming together, and you know what? It actually did win me over. It got to me on an emotional level, and I really liked what they did with it. Now, with that being said, as satisfying and well planned out as the ending was, I can't really ignore the fact that for most of the runtime, I just didn't find it to be all that special. It's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I can't even point to any real issues. Other than the fact that I personally wasn't the biggest fan of the creature design for the fish people. I don't know why, but I feel like Pixar usually does a better job in that department. But is that a real problem that's gonna cause someone to dislike or like the movie? Probably not. And even the simplicity of the story and everything going on wasn't really a problem. It just felt a little bit different from what I've come to expect, but it's not a bad thing. And all things considered, I still think this deserves something like a solid 7. Boop. So should you check it out? Yeah, maybe, why not? I have a hard time seeing people hating this. Or you could just skip it, after all, that's your prerogative and I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel because that would be fantastic.